Hello, everybody, and welcome to Week 11 of the Vikings 2022 NFL season. I am coming to you without my traditionally coiffed hair and my purple. I am up in the great Northwoods of Wisconsin for the deer opener. I'm currently in my truck because it is cold as hell out there right now. Actually, the temperature is not that bad. It's the wind. The wind, which is, they say 10 to 15 with 20 plus mile an hour gusts, maybe on the average lot of land. But something about the shape of this, and we just had it logged. I mean, if you kind of look out, I don't know if I can't see, it's too bright out. There's not a whole lot there to slow down the wind. I'm pretty okay with the cold. It's the wind that has me driven into my truck to warm up for a bit and try to get that relaxed a little bit. This week, the Vikings are hosting the Cowboys, and this week, I am reunited with an old friend, Drecker Brewing Company from North Dakota. This week, I am drinking their Chunk Banana Split Sundae Sour. There we go. Slide it over a little bit. It's a mouthful, but let's give it a crack. Skull feeleth there. Oh, old friend. Drecker. So I haven't been able to find Drecker for a while. I had a couple places that I could go to them pretty regularly, but their vendors changed, I guess. Oh, it's good to be back. This is delicious. Probably only like a one or maybe two of these. It's pretty sweet, but very, very balanced. It's not too much, but it is definitely this is to beer what like a port is to wine. You need to sip it. You need to enjoy it slowly. This is delicious. Let's hope this week's game is so sweet. Huh? Okay. This, I'm hoping, is the last time that I don't have like a specially crafted intro. I have one that I've been like kicking around in my head for a long time. I really want to do it. I'm very excited to do it. And I thought this next week would be the week that I would totally have time to do it. I forgot the Vikings play on Thanksgiving. They host the Patriots on Thanksgiving, which means by the time I get home from deer camp, I'm going to have like 2 days to turn around this intro. So it may not happen this week. I want it to, but it may not. All right, but that's cart before the horse. Let's deal with this week. I have so many thoughts, you guys. So, obviously, I put out the video last week talking about the Bills game, and then the after the Bills game report, which was just me like trying to understand what had just happened. Since then, since beating the Bills, now even conservative Vikings fans are, as the kids say, feeling themselves. They're feeling awfully confident about our chances. And it's hard to call a team that's 8-1 bad, because obviously you have to be good enough to stay in those games. Lucky breaks aside, and here is the crux of this video. In the NFL, we play 17 games in a regular season now. A 3-game losing streak is devastating, because it's hard to make up that ground. A 3-game losing streak in baseball is a bad weekend. You get back after it in a couple days because you play approximately 400 games in a season. Football does not have that luxury, and what that means is that variance dictates the narrative. If the Vikings were losing all of these one-score games, they would not be getting an ounce of the benefit of the doubt from even their most optimistic fans. Because they're winning all these close games, each week a few more like pessimistic, like realistic fans fall off and join the optimist masses. Where I come down is in the middle. I'm a big picture person. And there is not a team that's won the Super Bowl that didn't get lucky breaks. There isn't a team that made the playoffs that you couldn't point to, yeah, but they won that last game at the last minute. Last year's Bengals, I'm sure I brought them up. Last year's Bengals made it to the Super Bowl. They won like a boatload of games by one score or less, and in the final seconds, one of them being against the Vikings on a field goal. So is this a team of destiny? Like, is this the year the Vikings finally do it? Maybe. Honestly, to me, it would be perfect for the one Super Bowl the Vikings win, or the first Super Bowl the Vikings win, or even make it to, cart before the horse, would be one where offensive scoring is down, every win is tight, every win is nerve-wracking, they're, barely skirting by. But the fact of the matter is variance exists for a reason. And typically, NFL teams average 500 in one-score games. The Vikings have won 7 straight one-score games or something like that. And logic, rationale would dictate that they lose more of those games in the second half of the season. But they lost a whole bunch of them last year, so maybe this is just cosmic justice. I don't know. What I want to take away from this is I think the Vikings can beat the Cowboys. The Vikings are very short on defense. Their cornerbacks are all banged up. They might be without Zadarius Smith. I'm in the Northwoods, so I don't know if any news is broken on that since I left town. But they are banged up on defense. The Cowboys are great on defense, and the Vikings might be missing their PFF top-graded tackle Christian Darrisaw. And Micah Parsons is a beast for the Cowboys. That could get a lot of pressure on Kirk. The Cowboys have a stellar defense. The Vikings are working on it. It's a very interesting game. And I think there's a chance that after that huge emotional win in Buffalo last week, that they come back and maybe don't get it done against the Cowboys. I hope they do. I think they can. Honestly, if I were to put money on it, I'm kind of leaning the Vikings. I think whatever is clicking right now is clicking. And I think that they can pursue that or make the most of that. But I also, if they lose this week, that does not take anything away from the last 7 victories. It doesn't prove that they're a fraud. The NFL is a fluky league by definition because you only play 17 games. We are building a narrative off of only 17 games. Roughly less than a fourth of an NBA season or an NHL season, and less than an eighth. Math isn't my strong suit, but less than an eighth of an MLB season. And we are saying this team is good or bad, or they're lucky or they're fluky. I think the reason this is coming out now, I've heard so many people who were so conservative about the Vikings season, like, oh God, we really like to see them actually put a team away rather than squeak by. This week, after beating the Bills, jumped all in. Like, the Vikings are the real deal. How can you say that we're not the best team in the... Because we're not. We're not the best team in the NFL. We are thin. There are clear problems with our team. The fact that we don't score between the first and the fourth quarter, that's a problem. We are good enough to be in all these games, and that, I think, is the takeaway. Like, it's not luck that we're making these games competitive. It is luck that we're winning all of them. And if this team was, we're 8-1 now, so 9. If we were 5-4 or 6-3, would we be riding this high? And I think back to Minnesota media with the Gophers. Everybody was kind of like, well, okay, but they're beating FBS teams. They're not doing it. And then they beat Michigan State soundly, and all of a sudden, they were all, who stops us? Who stops us? Like, look what we just did. Sure, Michigan State's not that great, but look what we did. Like, this is a great team. And then they went out and they lost again, and all of a sudden the narrative goes back to, oh yeah, they're still the Gophers. The Vikings are still the Vikings, and I don't want this sudden energy behind the Vikings to come back to bite us. By us, I mean, I don't know. I'm guarded. I'm guarded in my optimism. I do think the Vikings have a talented team. This is, believe it or not, Kevin O'Connell's first year as head coach. Usually those don't go this well. I still think they can make waves. At this point, the odds are astronomically in their favor to make the playoffs and to win the division, which some money on that, so I'd like that very much. But they're still the Vikings, and the NFL is still the NFL, and crazy things happen. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. Enjoy the game. Whether or not there is an intro, there will be another video on for the Thanksgiving game, again, hosting the Patriots. I believe it's the night game, so it should be like a 7 o'clock game. But if you don't tune in for that one, thank you all for watching. I wish you and your families and your friends and all of the viewing public a very happy Thanksgiving. I am grateful for Drecker. It's good to have you back in my life. And thank you for this chunk banana split Sunday sour. Look at the kitty. It's perfect. Skull feeleth there. Be careful, hunters. Good luck. And go Vikings.